I am Emma, and this is my love story when I was a teenage. I still remember my English teacher, Mr. Scott, like he was standing right in front of me. He was the new faculty member at our school when I was in grade 10. With his dark hair and kind brown eyes, he was the center of attention for many girls, including me. He was young, handsome, and charming, and at 24, he had an aura about him that made everyone feel at ease. "Good morning, class," Mr. Scott would always say with a bright smile, and we'd all respond in unison, "Good morning, Mr. Scott." His classes were engaging, and he'd often ask us questions, making us think critically. I was a shy girl, but I loved his classes and would always participate, hoping to catch his attention. "Good job, Emma," he'd say, smiling at me, and I'd feel like I was on cloud nine. I never missed his classes and always completed my homework, eager to impress him. During breaks, my classmates would often stroll past his classroom just to catch a glimpse of him, and I'd join them, trying to muster up the courage to talk to him. One day, I discovered where he lived, and I'd occasionally walk past his house, hoping to catch a glimpse of him. If I saw him, he'd smile and say, "Hello, Emma, how are you today?" I'd blush and stutter. "I'm fine, thank you, Mr. Scott." He'd chuckle and ask, "What's new with you?" And I'd quickly bid him goodbye, feeling like I'd just met the most fascinating person on earth. When I moved to grade 11, Mr. Scott left the school for a new job in another city. I was devastated and missed him terribly. Why did he have to leave? I'd ask my friends, feeling tears well up in my eyes. They'd try to console me, but I knew I'd never forget Mr. Scott. Years went by, and I prepared for my university exams, even joining extra English classes. Imagine my surprise when Mr. Scott walked into the classroom. "Welcome back, Emma," he said with a warm smile, and I felt like I was dreaming. "It's great to see you again," he added, and I nodded, still in shock. As time passed, we'd stay after class to chat, and he'd ask me about my plans for the future. "What do you want to do after graduation, Emma?" he'd ask, and I'd tell him about my dreams and my aspirations. He'd listen intently, offering words of encouragement and advice. One day, he offered to walk me home, and I was overjoyed. "Would you like to walk with me?" he asked, and I nodded, trying to play it cool. As we strolled through the streets, we'd talk about everything and nothing, and I felt like I was walking on air. "I really enjoy your company, Emma," he said one day, looking at me with a soft gaze. "I enjoy yours too, Mr. Scott," I replied, my heart racing. He smiled and took my hand, and I felt like I was melting into his touch. Some other day, he took me to the park, and we sat on a bench watching the sunset. "Emma, I have to tell you something," he said, his voice low and husky. I've developed feelings for you. I know it's not right, given our positions, but I couldn't help how I feel. My heart raced as I looked at him. I feel the same way, Mr. Scott, I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. He smiled and took my hand, his touch sending shivers down my spine. I've wanted to do this for so long, he said, leaning in to kiss me. Our romance blossomed, and we'd steal glances at each other in class, our hands touching secretly. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. One day he told me he had a job offer in the USA. I felt heartbroken. I don't want you to go, I said, tears streaming down my face. I'll miss you so much. He held me close and whispered, I'll miss you too, Emma, but I promise to stay in touch. We'll write letters to each other, and I'll come back to visit you soon. We made plans for him to take me to the airport on the day of his departure. As we stood at the gate, he handed me a small box. Open it when I'm gone, he said, his eyes welling up with tears. I nodded, feeling a lump in my throat. As he boarded the plane, I felt a sense of emptiness wash over me. I opened the box when I got home, and inside I found a beautiful silver necklace with a note that read, Forever yours, Mr. Scott. I wore the necklace every day, feeling a connection to him even from afar. But as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months, I realized that Mr. Scott's letters were becoming fewer and farther between. I'd write to him, but he'd respond with short, impersonal messages. I felt a pang of sadness and wondered if he'd moved on with his life in the USA. As the months turned into years, I realized that I needed to move on. I started focusing on my career and building a new life. I met new people, made new friends, and slowly began to heal. That's when I met Charles, a kind and gentle soul who fell in love with me the moment he laid eyes on me. He was charming, witty, and made me laugh like no one else could. I was hesitant at first, but Charles' love and devotion eventually won my heart. We got married in a beautiful ceremony surrounded by friends and family. I felt like I had finally found myself happily ever after. Charles loved me more than anyone in the world, and I reciprocated those feelings. However, despite my happiness, I couldn't help but think about Mr. Scott from time to time. I wondered what could have been if he had stayed, if things had worked out differently. 8 years after Mr. Scott left, I stumbled upon his social media account. I hadn't expected to find him online, but there he was. I hesitated for a moment, wondering if I should reach out, but something inside me compelled me to send him a message. Hello, Mr. Scott. I typed, my fingers trembling slightly. It's been a long time. Mr. Scott responded almost immediately. Emma, I've thought about you so many times over the years. How have you been? We exchanged messages, catching up on each other's lives. I told him about my marriage to Charles, and Mr. Scott shared about his life in the USA. We reminisced about old times and shared stories about our lives. As we chatted, I realized that my feelings for Mr. Scott had changed. I was no longer the same girl who had fallen in love with him. I was happy with Charles, and Mr. Scott was now just a part of my past. We decided to meet up, and I was curious to see how Mr. Scott had changed. When we met, I was surprised to find that he looked different, older, and not as vibrant as I remembered. But despite the changes, our conversation flowed easily, like no time had passed at all. As we parted ways, I felt a sense of closure, not just with Mr. Scott, but also with my past. I knew that I had made the right choice in marrying Charles, and I was grateful for the love we shared. "Thank you for meeting me, Emma," Mr. Scott said, smiling. "It's good to see you happy." "Thank you, Mr. Scott," I replied, smiling back. "I'm glad we could catch up." As I walked away, I felt a sense of peace wash over myself. I knew that I would always treasure the memories of Mr. Scott, but I was excited to build a future with Charles.